Hello, first graders. Welcome back to another read aloud today. So the book we're going to be reading has to do with our social studies unit right now, Mexico. So the book we're going to read is called Tomás and the Library Lady, and it's written by Mora. So this book is the true story of someone's life. This person's name is called Tomás Rivera, and this rectangle you see right here, to make sure the sun isn't coming through my window so you can see the pages. This says Tomás Rivera is a Mexican-American Children's Book Award winner. So this is about his life. And we're going to learn more about him and his family. So let's take a look. And this book's a little bit longer, so you might want to get comfortable and find a nice spot so you can listen along and see the pages. It was midnight. The light of the full moon followed the tired old car. Tomás was tired too, hot and tired. He missed his own bed in his own house in Texas. Tomás was on his way to Iowa again with his family. His mother and father were farm workers. They picked fruit and vegetables for Texas farmers in the winter and for Iowa farmers in the summer. Year after year, they bumped along in their rusty old car. "Mama," Tomás whispered, "if I had a glass of cold water, I would drink it in large gulps. I would suck the ice. I would pour the last drop of water on my face." Tomás was glad when the car finally stopped. He helped his grandfather, Papa Grande, climb down. Tomás said, "Buenos noches," good night, to Papa, Mama, Papa Grande, to his little brother, Enrique. He curled up on the cot in the small house that his family shared with the other workers. Early the next morning, Mama and Papa went out to pick corn in the green fields. All day they worked in the hot sun. Tomás and Enrique carried water to them. Then the boys played with a ball Mama had sewn from an old teddy bear. When they got hot, they sat under a tree with Papa Grande. "Tell us the story about the man in the forest," said Tomás. Tomás liked to listen to Papa Grande tell stories in Spanish. Papa Grande was the best storyteller in the family. "Un tiempo pasado," Papa Grande began. "Once upon a time, on a windy night, a man was riding a horse through a forest. The wind was howling, whoo, and the leaves were blowing, wish, wish. All of a sudden, something grabbed the man. He couldn't move. He was too scared to look around. All night long, he wanted to ride away, but he couldn't. How the wind howled, whoo! How the leaves blew, wish, wish! His teeth chattered, like this. Might have been nervous. Finally, the sun came up. Slowly the man turned around. And who do you think was holding him?" Tomás smiled and said, "A thorny tree." Papa Grande laughed. "Tomás, you know all my stories," he said. "There are so many more in the library. You are big enough to go by yourself. Then you can teach us the new stories." Take a close look at this illustration. You'll see something about it. What do you notice? If you hadn't seen, this horse was in the leaves and the trees, in the tree branches. Why do you think the horse is in the tree? I'll tell you what I was thinking. I was thinking the illustrator made a choice, that Tomás was listening to the story and he imagined the horse that the man was riding on. His imagination made that in the tree. Very cool. I'll bend the page so you guys can see the illustration. The next morning, Tomás walked downtown. He looked at the big library. Its tall windows were like eyes glaring at him. Tomás walked around and around the big building. He saw children coming out carrying books. Slowly he started climbing the stairs. Up, up, up the steps. He counted them to himself in Spanish. Ooh, let's count. It looks like he counts to 4. Let's count together in Spanish. 1, 2, 3, 4. His mouth felt full of cotton. Seems like he was really thirsty. Tomás stood in front of the library doors. He pressed his nose against the glass and peeked in. The library was huge. A hand tapped his shoulder. Tomás jumped. A tall lady looked down at him. "It's a hot day," she said. "Come inside and have a drink of water." "What's your name?" she asked. "Tomás," he said. "Come, Tomás," she said. Inside it was cool. Tomás had never seen so many books. The lady watched him. "Come," she said again, leading him to the drinking fountain. "First some water. Then I'll bring out books to your table for you. What would you like to read about?" "Tigers and dinosaurs," said Tomás. Tomás drank the cold water. He looked at the tall ceiling and looked at all the books around him. He watched the lady take some books from the shelves and bring them to the table. "This chair is for you, Tomás," she said. Tomás sat down. Then, very carefully, he took a book from the pile and opened it. What's a book that you are interested in reading when you go to the library? Do you have a favorite topic or genre that you like to read about? For me, I think I'd also be interested in reading about dinosaurs. What would you be interested in reading about? You can tell someone next to you, or talk about it to the screen, or you can even write to me about it. Let's keep reading. Tomás saw dinosaurs bending their long necks to lap shiny water. Lap is another word for to drink or to lick. He heard the cries of a wild snake bird. He felt the warm neck of the dinosaur as he held on tight for a ride. Tomás forgot about the library lady. He forgot about Iowa and Texas. Tomás, said the library lady softly. Tomás looked around. The library was empty. The sun was setting. The library lady looked at Tomás for a long time. She said, "Tomás, would you like to borrow 2 library books? I will check them out in my name." Tomás walked out of the library carrying his books. He ran home, eager to show the new stories to his family. Papa Grande looked at the library books. "Read to me," he said to Tomás. First Tomás showed the pictures. He pointed to the tiger. "Que tigre tan grande!" Tomás said first in Spanish, and then in English. "What a big tiger!" "Read to me in English," said Papa Grande. Tomás read about tiger eyes shining brightly in the jungle at night. He roared a huge tiger roar. Papa, Mama, and Enrique laughed. They came and sat near him to hear his story. Looks like he's the storyteller now. Some days Tomás went with his parents to the town dump. They looked for pieces of iron to sell. Enrique looked for toys. Tomás looked for books. He would put the books in the sun to bake the smell away. All summer, whenever he could, Tomás went to the library. The library lady would say, "First a drink of water, then some new books, Tomás." On quiet days, the library lady said, "Come to my desk and read to me, Tomás." Then she would say, "Please teach me some new words in Spanish." Tomás would smile. He liked being the teacher. The library lady pointed to a book. "Book is libro," Tomás said. "Libro," said the library lady. "Well, let's practice that together. Libro." Libro means book. Let's hear you say it. Awesome. Pajaro. I'm still working on my Spanish. I might pronounce these words wrong or incorrectly, but I'm still trying to learn. "Perraro," said Tomás, flapping his arms. The library lady laughed. "Bird," she said. This word right here, I'm not sure how to pronounce it correctly. Maybe you know how to pronounce it. It's the Spanish word for bird. I'm going to keep reading our book. On days when the library was busy, Tomás would read to himself. He'd look at the pictures for a long time. He smelled the smoke at an Indian camp. He rode a black horse across a hot, dusty desert. And in the evenings, he would read the stories to Mama, Papa, Papa Grande, and Enrique. One afternoon, Tomás brought Papa Grande to the library. The library lady said, "Buenos tardes, señor." Tomás smiled. He had taught the library lady to say, "Good afternoon, sir," in Spanish. "Buenos tardes, señora." That's him saying good afternoon back to the library lady. Papa Grande replied. Softly, Tomás said, "I have a sad word to teach you today. The word is adios. It means goodbye." Tomás was going back to Texas. He would miss this quiet place, the cool water, the many books. He would miss the library lady. "My mother sent this to thank you," said Tomás, handing her a small package. "It is pan dulce, sweet bread. My mother makes the best pan dulce in Texas." Maybe you've heard of that, but it is also a food in their culture that they eat. His mother made it especially for the library lady. The library lady said, "How nice, how very nice. Gracias, Tomás. Thank you." She gave Tomás a big hug. That night, bumping along again in the tired old car, Tomás held a shiny new book, a present from the library lady. Papa Grande smiled and said, "More stories for the new storyteller." Tomás closed his eyes. He saw the dinosaurs drinking cool water long ago. He heard the cry of the wild snake bird. He felt the warm neck of the dinosaur as he held on tight for a bumpy ride. And that's the end of this book. There's an author's note, a note that tells us about the story. I'm going to read it to you. Tomás Rivera, this man right here, and also our main character from the book, was born in Crystal City, Texas in 1935. A migrant worker who valued education, Tomás Rivera became a writer, a professor, a university administrator, and a national education leader. When Dr. Rivera died in 1984, he was the chancellor of the University of California at Riverside. The campus library now bears the name of a boy who was encouraged to read by a librarian in Iowa. And that is the story of Tomás and the library lady. So Tomás's family are migrant workers. So they're people who move from place to place to find seasonal work on farms. How and why did the library become such an important place for Tomás when he moved temporarily to Iowa? I'm wondering, why do you think the library was so special to him? And I have one more question for you guys to think about after this read aloud. Tomás's imagination was so big. He loved reading new books and acquiring new information. What is something that you like to learn about in books? If you were going to a library today, what's a type of book that you would pick? Is it about a certain topic, like Tomás really liked dinosaurs? Or would you pick something else? I'm excited to hear your responses. Or you can talk about it with someone sitting next to you, someone in your family. Or you can talk to the screen, just like we were having a conversation through the screen. I hope you enjoyed this read aloud, and I'm looking forward to our next one. I'll see you then.